You are listening to the Digital Parent Podcast with your host, Ced Lewis.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Digital Parent Podcast. We're so glad to be back off our summer hiatus, and we had to come back with a show to talk about screen time. We're coming back off of summer vacation. We're going back to school. All our kids are in school. They're enrolled. They have their classes. And we know what the number one issue is. Screen time, right? They've got new friends. They got new devices. Some schools have one-to-one programs where they've given out the laptops. So now we got to make sure that we're locking down the screen time, right? And there couldn't be nobody else we could have on this show but to bring back our partners at Comcast. Because if you remember back in October, we talked about their excellent feature, X-Fi, right? Which was a software that allowed parents to control dinner time and to control the internet. Well, on this show, I reached back out to Comcast and to Patti Loyack, who is the Vice President of IP Services at Comcast, to do a follow-up. And Patti was just telling me about how many millions of parents that have downloaded that app since the last time we talked, and how it's so popular now where parents are really taking control of their household. They're decreasing screen time at dinner, at any time, just by hitting something in the app. And they have multiple other brand new features that are very exciting that I can't wait to talk about. So I just want to get right into it. So you got a kid and you've been struggling with how can I as a parent decrease screen time? This is the show for you. So let's get right into it with Patti Loyack. Hey, Patti, welcome to the Digital Parent Podcast. We're really happy for you to be on the show today. Really talking about something that's very dear and near to the hearts of the parents that, follow our podcast, which is how to protect kids online and how to really decrease that screen time. But before we jump into it, Patti, can you just give us a little bit of info about you and how you got into, working with Comcast and dealing with this issue?
So first, thank you for having me. I have been a part of Comcast for over 17 years now, and I lead our next generation internet offerings as well as the offerings we're going to have for our connected home. And everything that you've just said is so important because we want to make sure that when children are online, they are safe and that their parents can have a peace of mind when they're on their screens.
Right. And we know that, kids are coming back to school, right? My kids are back in school. Most kids across the U.S. are back in school. And we know they've already created these new friendships within those first couple weeks. And we know that those apps are being tipped and tapped left and right, trying to communicate with their new friends. So, how difficult is it for parents to kind of walk that line of, you want your kids to be social and to have positive relationships, but you also want to, kind of decrease, that screen time. How you think, technology help parents manage that?
So I think we're actually in a great place right now with technology. The good news is now technology is available that they can help decrease screen time and thereby increasing family time. In a recent nationwide survey that we conducted this summer, 76% of parents say their kids were more addicted to their devices than candy. I think that is a very bold statement. And 74% of them wish that they could turn off their children's Wi-Fi access. Well, the great news is our customers can do just that with our Xfinity X-Fi app.
And that's great because I think you guys are kind of ahead of the curve. You were one of the first companies to really come out to tackle this issue. We've seen some other, companies try to kind of copy some X-Fi stuff recently. Talk about X-Fi for some of our parents who are not familiar with their service, what it is, how they can download it, who qualifies for our listeners.
So X-Fi is a digital dashboard that allows our customers to personalize, troubleshoot, monitor, and control their home Wi-Fi network from anywhere. Parents can establish parental controls. They can get notifications about activities on their home network and even pause Wi-Fi access to their children's devices. In order to access X-Fi, first you need to be an X-Fi internet customer who rents a compatible X-Fi gateway. And then after that, it's just as easy as either downloading the app or visiting www.xfinity.com/myxfi.
So let me be clear. So you have to be an Xfinity internet customer, correct?
Correct.
All right. So when you become a customer, they will mail you, I'm assuming, some type of router. Is that correct?
So you can either have a tech visit your home to install the router, or one can be shipped for you. If one's shipped for you, you would just download the app. That's the first thing we ask you to do to activate your service and personalize your home Wi-Fi network.
Okay. So it's on the router, correct? The software.
Yeah, a combination of software on the router as well as in the cloud.
Oh, that's awesome. The reason I want to clarify that, because I think that's important for parents to understand, because, a lot of this, like, parental controls are, either based off of something that you place on your child's phone or something that you place on your child's computer. With this actually being in the cloud or on the router, you kind of stop the access to all of the devices. So it doesn't matter that you only have a phone or you just have a computer or a tablet, whatever the parents have or the children have in the household that allows them to have access to the internet. Your software through XFi will allow a parent to control that. Is that correct?
That's correct. And from anywhere, as I mentioned earlier. So, for instance, a parent could create a profile for their children, associate all their devices to that profile, and then from that profile, you can pause, you can enable parental controls, you can set a bedtime mode, and we can get into some of the specifics of that, but it's all in the cloud, and that allows you to do it from anywhere.
So let me ask a quick question. How long has XFi been out so far to the general public?
So we've launched in May of last year, so a little over a year, and we've seen, tremendous response from our customers. As I mentioned to you earlier, it's a fan of parents, not so much of the children.
Right. So since you launched this over a year ago, I'm assuming that you have some type of data on what parents are using. Is that correct?
That's correct. So our two most popular features are pausing devices as well as bedtime mode. And our customers have enabled these two features over 10 million times since we've launched, and usually between dinner time or between 6 to 9 p.m.
Wow, that's great, especially that whole dinner time piece and the early afternoon piece, because I was actually reading an article that was linking child obesity to screen time. And one of the things that the researchers were saying is that when kids come home from school, of course, they get on their screens. And when they're on their screens, they're always snacking. But because they're on their screen, they don't know how much they're eating, right? So like we eat at dinner time, like, you got a plate in front of you and you stop or you ask your parents for a second. But with them being unsupervised, they just keep going because they keep on looking on their screens, following different things on social media. Now with these parents have the ability to stop it, that could even lead to some decrease in, the trend that we see now in child obesity.
That's great. I hadn't read that.
Yes. We'll definitely post it, that article for some parents to look at. So you said that stopping the internet was one of the top features. What was the second top feature?
Pausing devices and bedtime mode were two of the most popular XFi features.
So with pausing devices, that could be anywhere. So a parent could be at work or at church and pause the device through the app. Is that correct?
Yeah. So what you would do is once you've associated devices to your child's profile, there's a pause button, and that pause will prevent access from that Wi-Fi network while that child is home. Okay.
Now, talk to us a little bit about the other feature, the active time alerts. That's like I think the latest feature that just came out.
It is, and it's one that we got directly from some of our parents after we launched XFi. What we found was not every parent wants to pause devices. Some just want to be aware of the amount of time their children spend online. And so the active time alerts is really an easy way for our parents to have that awareness where they can select their child's profile within the XFi app, set a specific weekday and weekend time limits across their children's devices, because we know they can be different, right? School nights versus weekends. And once that child is close to reaching that limit, they can choose to receive a push notification, text, or email alert and take action. It's not automatically pausing it for them. They have to do that, but it's making them aware of the amount of time. So for instance, I can set it up for 3 hours. And then as it approaches 3 hours, if I have that notification turned on, I can receive that notification saying that my child is approaching 3 hours. Because what we found is there was a great debate. The parents would say, you've been on it too long. You've been on it for 8 hours. And the child would be like, no, I've only been on it for 4. So now we remove that debate and there's awareness across both sides.
Yes, and that decreases tension and friction as well.
Exactly.
In the arguments.
Yes.
Now also talk about the bedtime mode. Is this like a feature where you can just lock down all the devices at night to make sure that the kids are not waking up or sneaking devices in their rooms?
Yes, with bedtime mode, parents can establish a window of time where their children's devices are automatically paused. And again, it could be during school nights or weekends. We know there can be different rules. But for instance, that parent, can sleep well because their devices are sleeping and their kids should be sleeping.
Right. And we know how, sleep is so important to academic performance, right? If you get enough sleep, you just perform better as a student. So this is going to go a long way in helping that.
I think so. I mean, I know personally for me, if I don't get my 8 hours, I am not a fun person the next day. And I can only imagine, children at school if they don't get enough sleep.
Right. Now, you said earlier that you're like the most hated person by teens, right? Do they see you nasty like emails and they bombard you on social media talking about how much they hate this device?
Not at all. I get different anecdotes from my coworkers and their children, and I get the good news and the peace of mind from parents. And then in some cases, the children say that they don't love it, but they understand why it's happening. And I think in the end, parents just want to make sure their children are self-learning digital manners.
That's very interesting, Patty. So you're saying that a lot of these kids really enjoy the discipline and they need that discipline. The fact that XFi is kind of bringing that to the table, it's like, okay, I know I'm on this stuff too much. I know you got to do what you have to do as a parent. So I'm kind of glad that some type of rules are put in place.
Yeah, we're helping establish rules and we're removing friction and tension by some of these features. And I think you alluded to a little bit of that earlier. There were lots of, fights, so to speak, around, no, I wasn't on this long. And now we're, building that awareness so that there can be a conversation versus an argument.
And it's very important. We did an episode on the Digital Parent podcast with Dr. Greenfield, who specializes in internet addiction. And he really talked about withdrawal symptoms when kids are on the internet too long, and how in his clinic, he's actually seen physical fights take place between parents and kids over this same issue. And I think that the fact that, we have this software through XFi, that's really going to decrease a lot of that conflict that you're starting to see when it comes to screen time.
That's our hope. And, there is an effective balance between screen time and family time.
So let me ask another question. What do you say, Patty, to that parent who's just hesitant when it comes to technology, right? They just feel that, I have Comcast. Yeah, I may have this feature, but, why put it on? My kid's going to find some way to circumvent it. How do you assure that parent that, they don't have to worry about those fears?
So I think for us, it's really about empowering them, giving the tools at their fingertips so that they can make that decision themselves and that someone's not making it for them. And really, we're doing that through our features and the continued evolution of the X5 platform. We're just allowing it to be easy and to give our parents peace of mind and convenience.
And Pat, talk about how easy is it? Because I think there may still be some parents think they got to be tech savvy in order to download the app and go through all these different procedures. How easy is it for a parent to download this and put it on their phone?
So our app is available in both Apple as well as Android marketplaces. So you just simply go there to download, and then once you log in, it's a fun experience in that you can associate an image to your profile, and then you can associate devices to that profile. And if you're making this for your child, it's quite easy. It's, one or two steps. And then once you do that, to pause that device, it's right on the profile screen, and all you have to do is one click.
Wow, just one click, and they can do what they need to do to decrease their screen time.
Absolutely.
All right, Pat, I just want to shift, and ask just a couple more questions. One is just about, Comcast as a company and the whole digital divide debate, right? We know that there's a certain population out here of poor people who still do not have internet access that's, really creating barriers to success, especially with a lot of schools with, bring your own devices now. What is Comcast doing in these communities to help these families bridge that digital divide?
So we know that home internet connectivity is so important to families today. And our Internet Essentials program is helping close that digital divide every day. Since 2011, when we launched Internet Essentials, we've connected more than 6 million low-income Americans.
Wow.
And what we found is that 90% of those customers did not have broadband internet subscription prior.
Okay. So they had like dial-up, or they just were using a cell phone or something?
We don't know. We just know that they didn't have an internet subscription.
Okay. And do you know what are the qualifications for, what do you call it? Internet Essentials? Is that the name of it?
Yes, it's called the Internet Essentials program.
Okay.
And we can send some information to you so that you have all the specific qualifications, so that you can include that in any follow-up that you need, and where folks can learn more about it. I just don't have it with me right now.
Oh, no problem. We'll definitely add a link to this so that those parents who need this valuable resource can definitely get in contact with somebody to go through the process of getting it set up.
The other piece that we did this year, just so you know, is we actually expanded this program to include veterans as well.
Oh, wow. So if you're a veteran, current, or active veteran, just a veteran, period?
Veteran, period. And again, all of that criteria, Ellen will follow up and share with you. But that's something that we did this year.
Great. So before we go, are there any other tips that you can think of for parents to kind of help better manage their children's device usage?
I think for me, there's really three. And we talked a little bit about the first one. Increase your overall awareness to actual screen time, right? Set those alerts, remove the debate, the friction, the arguments, and just become aware. Doesn't mean you have to pause or prevent access. It just means you're aware of how much time your children are on their screens. The second one is establish, bedtime modes or rules to ensure that your children are actually sleeping when they should be sleeping and not on their devices. And we've seen different ways of this manifest itself in our customers' homes. Obviously, our customers have the ability to do that within the X5 app. Others, put phones and charging stations in the kitchen so that they don't go up to bed with the children. Others, turn it off and bring it into the parents' room. But for us, it's providing that automated way to do that in the cloud so that you can set a bedtime mode and sleep because you know that, your children are sleeping. The third one And one that we didn't talk about, but I think is important, is enable parental controls so that younger children view content that is appropriate to them. And again, through our XFi app, you have the ability to do that so that while they're online or in various apps, they're seeing content that's appropriate for them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we need to quickly talk about that. So if a kid is on YouTube, right, which is on face value will seem like an appropriate app because they may be looking up something for school. If they're looking up something inappropriate, the software and the app will prevent them from looking at that information?
Yes, exactly. So we've, in addition, once a parent enables parental controls, that includes any type of searches on Google, Bing, or YouTube, where if it's inappropriate, it would prevent that from happening.
So does it go off keywords, the technology?
It's a combination of a partner that we use called Zevlo, where they will categorize certain websites and apps. And then we do that integration with the search piece of it, which, again, to your point, is on keywords and those pieces. But both of those together encompass our parental control feature.
Hey, that's awesome. I mean, I'm really excited. I mean, I think this is such a good feature, for families. It makes me want to switch my carrier for sure back to Comcast.
Come on over.
Yeah,
We'd love to have you.
I'm telling you, just for XFi. I mean, there's no need to pay for all this extra stuff when you guys are giving all this control for free, and the fact that you're in these communities helping people out. I just think that's fabulous, and I just love the job that you're doing, Patti, with Comcast, and just please keep up the good work. Please keep fighting for us as parents so that we can help, our kids manage their screen time.
We absolutely will. And we're excited, just like you, because we're going to continue to evolve the XFi platform as we think about the connected home and more of these smart devices coming in our customer's home. It's going to become increasingly complex, and we want to make sure we provide a simple and safe experience so that you can not only manage your children digitally, but also all the devices that are going to come into your home.
So that's one quick question, though. So, whenever these new devices and new technologies come forth, so you guys are constantly updating the software to take into account like that new technology, those new devices?
Absolutely. Our engineers are always updating our software, and we're continuing to provide value on the XFi platform. So we launch features pretty regularly, and we'll continue to do so.
Hey, that's outstanding. So, hey, parents, you don't have to worry about your kids. If they try to figure a way to circumvent it, these engineers are on deck, 24/7 to stay in front. So thank you again, Patti, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time. And if there's anything else you need, please let us know.
Hey, guys, I hope you really enjoyed that episode with Patti. And I love talking about XFi and those two great new features, which is the active time alert, which really allow you to control screen time, and the bedtime mode, which prevents these kids from being on the internet late at night. But I also really want to remind you guys, if you have any families that are struggling to pay for their cable and internet bill and they don't have access to Wi-Fi, and we know how important Wi-Fi is to your kids' school success, make sure they go to, Comcast's website. And I'm going to put the link in the show notes and look up their Comcast Internet Essential package where they can get Wi-Fi for $9.95, so less than $10 a month. They can have internet access, and they will also provide a computer to families for less than $150 as well if they meet certain criteria. So go online and sign up and see if you're eligible for that criteria. And remember, if you want to have XFi and you're a Comcast subscriber, make sure you go to Xfinity.com, click on the links for XFi to get that information, and make sure you rate the Digital Parent Podcast. If you really enjoyed this episode, let us know what you thought about it. Give us a rating on iTunes, and make sure you tune in next Thursday for another exciting episode. Until the next time.